What is up, YouTube? It's Dub K here, back with episode 4 of the Violence Casual podcast. Sipping a little wine, relaxing, having a chill night. I actually had the blessing of watching UFC 324 in New York, in Times Square. I was actually at the Dave and Buster's. It was a great fucking time. It was electric. But we're gonna start off this video talking about the results of UFC 324. Of course, recapping my predictions, and then we're gonna talk about UFC 325. So let's get right into it. So the first fight of the night, Ty Miller. We picked Ty Miller. To be honest, I didn't know much about Ty Miller. Now I do. Now I do. That was an amazing knockout. I'm a fan of Ty Miller now. Excited to see his next fight. Definitely gonna go back and watch some of his old fights. I saw a few highlights, man. He's a killer. Moving on to the next fight, we did say Josh Huckett. You know, Josh Huckett was kind of a heart pick for me, but look at the fucking numbers: 71 total strikes to 0 landed. 37 significant strikes to 0 landed. He absolutely dominated this man who has a huge reach advantage, a huge size advantage as a highly ranked Greco-Roman wrestler. Dominated him, made him quit. And then, of course, the post-fight speech, hilarious. One of the best I've ever seen, honestly. Um, what did he say? I can strangle lightning and mangle thunder. The one who could end world hunger. I'm the bee's knees, the big G's, and me losing in a fist fight. Yeah, man, that show's hilarious. That show's hilarious. Please, all right, shit. Okay, I gotta be careful. All right, now I'm a big fan of Josh Hawkins. I'm excited to see his next fight. That Waldo call out was hilarious. I don't think they're gonna give him Waldo. I think Waldo's gonna get a title shot. Depending on what happens with Aspinall and Gain, or maybe they'll give him Volkov, something like that. Um, Waldo, that is. That maybe they'll give Waldo Volkov, but I'm excited to see Josh Hawkins' next fight. Now, I think we chose Charles Johnson here. We did, and we said he would win by KO. The opposite happened. We can move on from that one. I mean, it's really not too much to talk about. He got dominated. He got knocked out. He was wobbling. Alex Perez back in the win column. Back in the win column, yeah. Okay. He's got some good wins. I'm excited to see his next fight. We did take Nikita Krylov here. Um, Buzzer beater KO. Pretty sick highlight. Um, you know, I'm not too excited about either one of these fighters necessarily, and not trying to hate on them, but the light heavyweight division has just so much more talent. Near the top, I'm not really too interested in either of these guys, so I'm gonna move on from here, especially because we get to talk about Eteba Gutierrez. Um, Eteba Gutierrez is insane. This was probably his least impressive fight. The numbers actually look like they lean toward Andre. And Ateba was taking a lot of damage. But watching the fight live, he definitely landed the harder shots. Um, he had 2 knockdowns. It was definitely his toughest challenge yet. But he looked really good out there. I'm always excited to watch Ateba fight. I was expecting the knockout. That didn't come, unfortunately, but he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch. I'm excited about him. We took Umar, and we did say decision, I believe. We did say decision. That's a pretty safe bet. There's not too much to talk about. I mean, I love Figgy, but he's on his way out for sure. Umar, of course, just wrestled the fuck out of him. 5 minutes of control time. I mean, he didn't wrestle the fuck out of him, but 5 minutes of control time. There was some back and forth striking exchanges. I do recall. I think Figgy was actually low-key piecing him up with a jab for a while. But either way, let's move on from that. I want to talk about the UFC 325. We did say Jean Silva. I did pick him by KO. He did not get the KO, but he was pretty dominant throughout most of the fight. Um, Took a lot of jabs as well, a lot of hard leg kicks. But he was pretty dominant most of the fight. That third round was huge. He was piecing up Arnold in the third round, and then he had him on all fours, jumped off his back. It was amazing. It's hilarious. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. One of the most honestly disrespectful things I've ever seen a fighter do mid fight, but it was just absolutely awesome. I picked Rose, and so we're gonna talk about this one for a second here. Rose Namajunas won this fight. The numbers, the numbers don't do it justice. Rose Namajunas won this fight. I mean, I don't know how she won rounds 1 and 2. I think she won rounds 1 and 2, and Natalia Silva pretty much laid on her for the majority of the last round. Um, it, I don't know. At worst, I would think it would be a split decision for Natalia Silva, but this was a robbery in my opinion. The numbers don't do it justice. If you watch the fight, I think you know what I'm talking about. I see a lot of people agreeing with me online, but we're moving on nonetheless. So Waldo Cortez Acosta did knock out Derek Lewis. I did pick Waldo. Derek Lewis slipped at one point in the fight, but he had been hit pretty hard a few times already, and he looked like he was get the fuck out of here. He looked like he was gassed out. So I don't know, man. I love Derek Lewis, but he's getting old. I'm not sure what's next for him really here. Of course, people will want to watch it, but not really sure what's next here for him. Waldo, I think, could potentially get a title shot, or maybe they'll give him Volkov. I think I said that earlier. So yeah, we gotta move on from this one. Um, and get into the Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong fight. This one was a bit controversial as well. I personally, at first, I thought it was Song 2-1, but I could see Sean winning one of those early rounds of just maybe a 29-8 to him, and then 29-8, a 9-8 for him, and then I think he dominated enough in that third round to get a split decision. But the unanimous, I thought was a little crazy. And yeah, like I said, the first when I was watching the fight live, I thought it was a 2-1 Song. But yeah, watching it again, I think he did enough in the third round. So, and we took Sean O'Malley. We said Justin Gaethje by knockout, and Justin Gaethje almost knocked up Patty a handful of times, but I guess Scousers don't get knocked out. I thought this was a big missed opportunity for Patty to come out to 4 Raws by as the Kid. I'm foaming deep in this German, and I'm whipping around the suburban. I don't get the excursion, and I manage this shit like I'm jerking. Went from Henny to sipping that bourbon. Yeah, nah. That'd have been so funny, man. But anyways, this was an amazing fight. I'm gonna talk about this one for a little bit. I'll try to make it quick so I can get into the next event. But this was a fucking banger of a fight. Obviously, look at those numbers. Banger of a fight. Gaethje got wobbled once, or hit pretty hard, a lot. I mean, but Gaethje, yeah, he had the control time, had the power shots. He had Patty knocked down. I felt like it was more than twice, but yeah, man, it was a banger fight. We picked Gaethje. I'm happy for Gaethje. But realistically, this title shot should have been called the instead of the interim championship, it should have been called the Who Wants to Get Knocked Out by Ilya championship. All right. So let's move on to the next event here. I'm gonna do more of this time. I'm not gonna talk too much betting, and I'm going to do that more short form on my Instagram, which I will make sure to link. Um, But let's get right into UFC 325. Let's start with Aaron Tao versus. I am not familiar with this guy. Um, I honestly am gonna kind of hop over this one pretty quickly by just taking Aaron Tao or how do you say that? It looks like the guy he's fighting against is fought on the road to UFC a couple of times with a knockout out submission. Some regionals, I believe, probably somewhere in the Eastern Hemisphere. Um, but I've watched a lot of Aaron Tao. He also fought on the road to the UFC. Okay. For some reason, I thought he was on the contender. Oh yeah, contender series, but he lost to you. I watched him on the contender series, and I liked what I saw, even though he lost. And yeah, he's got some pretty filthy knockouts. I'm gonna go ahead and just take Aaron Tao. To be honest with you, like I said, don't know much about this guy, but ooh, and that's the thing about this card. The main card, crazy stacked, and some of the prelims that are higher up, crazy stacked. Um, these could end up being bangers, but a lot of these people I don't know. Like most of these people I don't know. I'll be real with you, but we're still gonna make picks here and try to make it quick with the people that I don't know. I'm just gonna be completely honest and just go quickly through the people that I don't know. This is road to is a lot of is it the road to UFC finals? It might be the road to UFC finals. Okay. Um, I'm just gonna go with honestly. I'm taking Salang Grambo. Let me see here. If this is the road to okay, this is like the road to UFC finals. I'm gonna not pick these. I'm gonna skip these. I'm gonna just make sure. Is this another road to UFC one? I'm sorry, I'm not that deep. Yeah, I'm not that deep into the UFC where I'm watching the road to UFC all the time. I mean, I have a handful of times. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the Doctor Sleep knockout live. The Xing Ming or whatever her name is. Fuck. But yeah, I have not watched this season, and I do not know these fighters. I'm not even gonna worry about it. Now I do know Khan Ofley, and I have watched. Is it Isha? I have watched him fight a few times. This was a banger card. Ooh, yeah. So if I remember correctly, this was a pretty filthy knockout. It was round one. This was a banger card. Okay. Now, Khan Ofley has been around for a little. I've watched Khan Ofley fight quite a bit. You know what? I'm taking the Chinese man, and I'm gonna move on from there. I've watched Oban Elliott fight a few times. I think I'm gonna take Oban. So he lost a unanimous decision. He got a KO recently. Decision wins. Was this a? I don't remember that fight. I did watch that card. So the guy that I picked against has a big reach advantage and looks a bit better on most statistics. But I'm not too impressed with the opponents I'm seeing. I'm just gonna stick with my gut and go with Oban Elliott, someone who I've watched quite a bit. Okay, so here we go. Torres Finney. Torres Finney with the reach advantage. I'm taking Torres Finney with the reach advantage. He's a super pressure wrestler. Pressure wrestler. I've seen the KO on the Contender Series. He's capable of knocking people out for sure. But I think his game plan against most people is to get to their fucking legs and take them down because he's a lot shorter than most of his opponents. Oh, okay. This is interesting. 5'8" is relatively short for a middleweight. But the guy he's fighting is only 5'9". Okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'll be honest with you. I was a little bored by Torres Finney's last fight. Maybe I'm making an assumption of what his style is, but I've seen the same style in other fights. But I'm actually just gonna take Torres Finney by KO here. I don't think he's gonna have a hard time getting inside with a guy who he has a reach advantage against and is only an inch taller than him. I think he might actually be able to knock that fool out. All right. Cody Brundage versus Cam Rouston. I'm going Cam Rouston. Huge reach advantage. City kickboxing trained. Petrosky. Okay. Cody Brundage is, a good fighter. I honestly, if I remember correctly, he had a draw with Mansour Abdul Malik. Well, that had to have been with 36 seconds left. That had to have been some kind of technicality. What the fuck? Okay. Lost to Bo Nickel. I definitely watched the Eric McConical fight, but I'm trying to remember. I feel like that was a questionable decision. I'm just sticking with Cam Rowston. Long reach advantage. CKB trained. Now we're gonna actually probably skip over this one because just Junior Tafa. I hate to say this, man. I don't want to be disrespectful. I respect everyone who steps in the ring, especially the octagon and the ring, especially at the highest level. But Justin Tafa's cheeks. Justin Tafa's probably getting flattened. Oh, this is Junior Tafa. I was saying his brother's name. Um, Junior Tafa might be getting subbed or flattened from what I'm seeing. Yeah, he has the propensity to get subbed and flattened in recent fights, it looks like. Hmm. I mean, Walter Walker subbing you, that was probably a heel hook. That doesn't say too much because he does that to everybody. But I can't pick a Tafa brother anymore. I just can't. So Quinlan Salkid, this is the easy one too. For I'm going with Quinlan Salkid. Crazy KOs recently. Let's take a look at Jamie's recent fights, though. Don't want to completely write him off because I don't know everything about him. Ooh, okay. MMA math says that if Jamie gets knocked out by this guy and Quinlan Salkil knocks out this guy, then he should double knockout hit him. So yeah, we're going with Quinlan Salkil, and we're going by knockout. Now, Tai Tuivasa versus Tarleton Teixeira. Actually, I said I wasn't going to do betting, but we are actually going to get into betting on this one because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is the biggest lock on the card, in my opinion. So Talenton, I'm taking Talenton to sure. He's gonna fuck him up. Tai Tuivasa is on like a 6 or 5 fight losing streak. He's getting fucked up all the time, and his KO is only negative 225. His money line is only negative 345. We're talking 8-inch reach advantage, 5-inch height advantage. And he was knocking everybody the fuck out. He was standing and banging with Derek Lewis until he got caught and then decided to climb up with the cage. He didn't even get knocked out, but he was down and he tried to climb up the cage. But yeah, he was banging with Derek Lewis and he was knocking everybody out before Tafa. But I mean, he just looks like a monster in there. A lot of it is the eye test, but I'm taking him by knockout and I'm smashing it, to be honest with you. So we can move on to the next fight. So Rafael Fiziev versus Maurice Sarufi is a really tough one. I know Fiziev is well rounded enough to, implement a game plan against someone who looks to have zero grappling, Marisa Rufi. But Marisa Rufi is a very crafty striker. He's was a fighting nerd, and I am a bit biased toward the fighting nerd camp. But I heard he actually recently left the fighting nerds, and he's been training with Volk and at other gyms. Um, so I'm going with Marisa Rufi. I don't know how much knowledge he could have gained from switching up his environment and being trained by with Volk and seeing other coaches and whatnot. But I think if he develops a little bit of takedown defense and some ground game, his striking is so good. The reach advantage here, the height advantage here. I think he's gonna get back to knocking people out, and he's gonna knock out Fiziev. Yeah, yeah. I think he's gonna get back to knocking people out, and he's gonna knock out Fiziev. So now Benoit Saint Denis versus Dan Hooker. This is a really, really tough one to choose, man. Really, really tough one to choose because Dan Hooker's an animal, pretty high competition for the most part. I mean, losing to Armand, he was on a three-fight win streak. War with Jalen Turner, a broken wrist and broken orbital, absolute war. But I'm a big fan of Benoit Saint Denis right now. It's hard for me to pick against him in a fight right now. Even though he got smashed by Moicano, he was in a war with Dustin Poirier, one of the greatest of all time. He was in a war with Dustin Poirier before he got caught. He stopped Mauricio Rufi's UFC winning streak, although it was by submission. Um, I mean, not that that says anything. I don't know why I said although it's by submission. But then he came out and fucking flatlined Benil in 16 seconds. That was amazing. I'm going with Benoit. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Benoit either by submission or by decision. I don't think he's gonna knock out Dan Hooker. But I'm gonna take him by submission or decision. I think double chance submission or decision is a good choice for the Benoit fight to get more value because I think he's a favorite there. And so here we are at the main event. Please don't tell Volkanovski that I said this. My Volky bear, my glorious Volk, the incredible Volk. I think he's gonna get knocked out. Alexander Volkanovski is one of my favorite fighters of all time. It broke my heart to see him lose to Islam the way he did, and then to watch him lose to Ilya the way he did was terrifying. I thought he fucking died. I was with my ex at the time watching the fight. This is a weird story, but I was with my ex at the time watching the fight, and I was like, "No, Volk, get up!" And he was slumped, like slumped. I thought he was dead. I almost cried, what I mean? I was like, "Damn!" And I think it really turned her off, but I don't give a fuck. Fuck that bitch. Fuck you, Kamaya. All right. Um, I think Diego Lopez wins by KO. I think that Diego Lopez has, learned a lot since the last time he fought Volk. I think he learned a lot, especially during the fight with Volk. Um, he's very young. He's very well rounded, and I think I heard somewhere that Volk's game plan was to be more aggressive this time. I think Diego's got good counters and striking is super dangerous on the inside. Look what he did to Gene Silva. Gene Silva, I think, was winning that fight, piecing Diego up. He was taking some shots where his noggin was getting rocked all the way back, as like a cartoon. Diego was, but he stayed in the fight and he landed a nasty spinning elbow. I'm taking Diego Lopez by KO here, but this is not one that I would say smash because Alex Volkanovski is the greatest featherweight of all time. I would argue to say he is one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. I would put Alexander Volkanovski in my top 10. So I wouldn't smash Diego Lopez, but I think he's going to knock him out, unfortunately. I love Volk. I don't know what's next for Volk after that. I think if he loses, maybe retire here. Um, but shit, that's UFC 325. So as always, we'll be back, to recap and everything. I like I said earlier, I'm gonna be doing more like betting, picking, and detailing on the Instagram. So definitely go check out the Instagram. Follow the Instagram. I'll make sure to link it. But yeah, that's it for Violence Casual episode 4.